Hey everybody, it's Charles for HumbleMechanic.com, and today we're checking out the OBDeleven scanner. Alright, so my man Paul at shopdap.com sent me this little scanner. Believe it or not, this tiny little thing is a scan tool to test out and see what I thought. So this is an Audi and Volkswagen scanner, very similar to other aftermarket stuff, has a very different interface, and the cool thing is, it's a price point of 60 bucks. Now, I have something I gotta tell you guys right up front. Unfortunately, if you have an iPhone or an iPad, or an iPod, I guess, this isn't gonna fly for you. This, as of right now, is an Android-only device. Here's the great thing. You can get Android devices dirt cheap. In fact, I have my old Android phone that we're gonna be test driving the OBDeleven with. Now, when you order this, you get this little device as well as a sticker with an activation code. Just like all other apps, probably not even worth saying, you go to your Google Play Store and you download the OBDeleven app. The app is free, of course. Pair your device with the unit via Bluetooth and you're rocking and rolling. So simply plug it into the car, follow the steps. It's actually really easy to pair the device with the device. So I've spent probably the last month or so really playing around with this, poking around in the features, testing it on different cars. I gotta say the communication is really, really good. The speed is really good. And I think something like this, you know, this won't replace a factory scan tool, right? This is not going to replace the 6150D, I think is what we're on now. It won't do it. But for 60 bucks, this is a pretty dang powerful little tool. There are some pros, of course, and there are some cons, but you know what? Let's jump into the app and give it a test drive. All right, once you've downloaded the app from the App Store, you're going to need to pair it via Bluetooth, so we're just gonna double check that. Here we are, OBDeleven, we are paired. Next, we're going to go into the app. This is a good opportunity to remind you that you should always have all of the consumers shut off when you're doing any kind of scan tool work with the key on and the engine off. We are hooked up to my wife's Tiguan, so we're just gonna go ahead and confirm that. Now it's actually showing we have an active code right here, so let's scan it and see. Here's where it's going to go through all of our modules. You can see, the thing I really like about this is it has a module counter. So we're at 4 of 24. It's gonna go through all of them and scan for any codes. If at any point in time you'd like to stop it, you can go ahead and stop it there. I've had this connected to several other vehicles, including Mark IV Beetles, my B5.5 Passat, and never ran into any kind of communication issues at all. All right, so we didn't detect any faults up to this point. It's telling us that we have one faulty control module. If you look, we can go down and see all of our modules that we've talked to. Here's one. It's got a red circle in 56. That's for the radio. Now I can go ahead and tell you what that is. That is going to be because we do not have satellite radio activated, so this is going to be a static fault for the tuner. But here you can see all of our modules. I really like these little icons here, by the way, too. Let's go into engine and see what's going on. If we did have a fault, we would click on that. We would click on faults. It would tell us if there were any faults. Back up one screen. We can go to coding. If you don't know what you're doing, don't mess with this. Adaptations. Again, you'll need to know what you're doing here. That's kind of one of the things that really stands out differently between the OBDeleven and maybe the higher end or higher price point scan tools, is that those will tell you what you're looking at. These you kind of need to know. So for someone like me that remembers a lot of that stuff, that remembers, you know, basic settings, 60 is for the throttle body. You can see that right here. It's not a problem, but for someone that maybe doesn't know this stuff, you might be a little bit challenged using this scan tool, but I can promise you that this information is already out there. So with some Google Kung Fu, you can probably figure out everything that you need to know. We can even look at live data. So this is our measure value blocks. This actually does give you some information. So what you're seeing here is very much what we used to get when we would use the factory scan tool. Our vehicle's not running right now. If I were to start it up, now we'll see that all of our information is changing. This is our mass airflow meter. This is our injector pulse width. This is load, and this obviously is engine RPM. You can page through all the values. It'll take a second to reconnect because I just did a key cycle. That makes any scan tool mad. You want to talk about making a scan tool mad, the factory scan tool really gets upset when you do that. So let's go back. Let's say we wanted to, I don't know, go into Central Electrics and go to coding. We can change our coding here. There has been a little bit concern about pay-as-you-go type stuff in the device where you would have to pay for help or pay for maybe coding assistance. I actually really don't think that's that big of a deal because for people that are going to be using most of this stuff, you're not going to be doing that kind of thing all the time. So I don't really see it as a negative. In fact, because they have a pay service like that, I actually think that's kind of an asset. So you can see, you can go in, you can recode stuff, you just need to know what you're doing. This is some coding, long coding for our instrument cluster where it actually does tell you a few different things about what's going on. So if, let's say I wanted to turn off the seatbelt warning, I could go ahead and do that from here. Again, we're looking at faults. So I would probably look at this scan tool as sort of a basic scan tool plus. From a professional technician standpoint, this is something maybe I would keep in my pocket and perhaps walk out to the drive aisle and try and help a customer out and just pull a fault code real quick if I didn't, say, want to grab a laptop or something like that. And I think the big thing here, one, it's a nice interface. It's pretty user-friendly. Even if you weren't real fluent in using any scan tool really, but let's say you weren't real fluent in using Volkswagen Audi stuff, it's pretty intuitive, it's pretty easy to use. You can order things differently by here. I like seeing them by number, so you know that's going to put them in address word number, which is the way I remember them. You can do them by name, or the cool one, you can do them by status. So if you had a bunch of modules with faults, you could do them that way as well. Here's our gateway list, which is cool. You can see all the things that I don't have. No ECM2, no adaptive cruise, no all-wheel drive, unfortunately, no sunroof. Again, you know, one of the negatives, it doesn't have the long coding helper, it doesn't have the adaptation information, but we have to remember what the price point of this tool is. This is a $60 tool, not a $400 tool plus buying a device anyway. So if you have an Android phone, good to go. If you don't, again, you can jump on Amazon. In fact, I'll find something. I don't have any experience with it, but I'll find something and throw it down in the video notes for you guys to check out, just because I think it's going to be really easy to find something that you can use. This, in fact, is not my cell phone. I rock an iPhone now. This is my old phone that I kept just for things like this, and it works out great. It's fast enough that it'll do exactly what I need to do. I can go in, I can monitor engine data, all the same kind of stuff that I can do in a really nice interface too. You know, if you're the DIYer type, this is great because you can still see all of your values. You can screenshot them and save them. From a pro standpoint, I can screenshot that, I can text it to a customer, I can email it to a customer. A lot of the same kind of things you can do with other independent scan tools, you know, outside the factory stuff. This is just a nice interface for someone that maybe isn't well versed in the scan tool world to look at. This is a problem. I should really have the car running. Like I mentioned, you can do a lot of different things. If you know the adaptation numbers, you can go in and retract the electronic parking brake. You can, if you know the coding change, you can go in and recode to, let's say, you make your windows roll down with your remotes. If you don't know them, that's not really that big of a problem either, because like I said, with a little bit of Google Kung Fu, you should have no problem doing that at all. Even still here, you can get all the information, hardware, software versions. You can even look up trouble codes, and that'll take it. Let's enter a code and see how it works. What do you guys like? I like P0420. Catalyst efficiency below threshold, and hey, if you like that in different languages, you can do that as well. See what else we got in here. Equipment codes. Tells you a little bit about coding here. This is the VIN information. That'll tell you what sort of equipment the vehicle has had, and this is about your engine code. This is on timing covers as well. So the cool thing is there's a lot that this will do There's a lot more coming. Some of the values I've heard are coming. As of right now, they're not in there. So I don't want to say that they're coming definitely for sure, but I've been told that they are trying to add that in to the app as well. So there is more things you can do. Again, I really like, here's the remote window function. I'm not going to change that because I like that feature. My wife really likes that feature too. Remember I said about the seatbelt warning, I could turn that off. I kind of like the apps feature because you can see exactly what you're trying to do. If you can't get the oil monitor reset, which sometimes on our cars can be pretty challenging, it's nice to have that as well. You see not every selection is available for every car. So like I said, all in all guys, I think this is a pretty good app. I think it's a good alternative for something that's quite a bit more expensive. I know it's a bummer that they only have Android support, but I don't think that's their fault. I think a lot of that comes from just the pure ease of making an Android app versus making an iPhone app. Look around, buy a really inexpensive Android device, pair it with this, you're in for 100, 160 at the most. You've got an incredibly powerful scanner that does a lot of really cool stuff, has a nice interface, and is really easy to use. Oh, and one more thing I almost forgot. This one pops up with a device alert to let you know that you left it in the car. Something that I wish our factory stuff did better, and I think's vital for any device that is either Bluetooth or Wi-Fi connected to a phone. To have this right here is awesome, awesome stuff. We've left plenty of OBD connectors in customers' cars with our factory stuff, and something like this would have been a huge, huge help. All right, guys, hey, I'm gonna wrap it up there. Questions, comments, you know what to do. Shout out to my man, Paul, for hooking me up with this and providing everyone a really great alternative to some pretty expensive scan tools out there, coming in at only 60 bucks. If you like the video, throw it a thumbs up on YouTube. I always appreciate that. You can also subscribe on YouTube or on the blog at humblemechanic.com. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course on Snapchat. Oh, and you know what? Head over to Paul's YouTube channel. Check his channel out. He does some really great videos, a lot of really great how-tos, explanations. Him and I try to work together as much as we possibly can, which unfortunately doesn't happen nearly as much as I would like to, but shout out to what you do on YouTube, Paul, man. Keep rocking and rolling. All right, guys, hey, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.